You may remember the story of Gannon Stoke. The Colorado 11-year-old was stabbed 18 times by his stepmother. He was hit in the head, he was shot, and then he was stuffed in a suitcase and left under a bridge in Florida. It was an awful, awful story. You see that little face there. Well, his stepmother, Letitia Stoke, was convicted in May of killing the little boy. The judge said it was the most horrific case that he had ever seen in his entire career. Little Gannon's bedroom, just to give you an idea how bad this was, had blood all over the walls, a blood-soaked mattress, the carpet was soaked, even the concrete under the bed was blood-stained. So to say that this was a brutal killing would really just be an understatement.
This is one of the worst things I have seen in true crime, and I've seen a lot of bad shit. If you're big into the true crime space, you may have already heard about this YouTuber, zavgirl, Z-A-V, and I had never heard of her. And there's a lot of really unethical things that people will do. This, I think, takes the cake for the worst I've seen possibly.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrific. I cannot believe she did this. What a dumbass thing and just horrible thing to do.
It's just straight evil. Like, you have zero morals at all. Like, this is the scummiest shit.
I could never, ever imagine doing something like this.
Right?
Like, what in your brain just made you think like, let me make money off of someone's death in the most horrific way possible?
Yes, yeah, and expose their body. So if you haven't heard of this, zavgirl, she posted multiple videos on the murder of Gannon Stoke, which is, first of all, one of the most horrific cases I have ever heard of. We had worked on that case years ago when Gannon was still considered to be missing. It was a local Colorado case, and there was a big effort to raise awareness to help find him. And then after he was found, we were so disturbed by the condition he was found in that we were like, we never want to talk about this again. It was so brutal, so upsetting. I had nightmares about it for days. And people ask me to cover it all the time. I'm just like, I cannot
there
go
are certain things that are just like, we can't do it. And I mean, luckily there are other horrific people who have covered his case in a respectful way.
Yeah, there are.
And you know, he has gotten tons of media coverage, so I'm grateful for that.
I didn't feel like they needed more from me.
Yeah.
He was brutally murdered by his stepmom, Letitia Stoke. The trial actually just happened a few months ago. He was stabbed 18 times. He was hit in the head and shot in the head, this poor child. And then she put him in a suitcase and drove his body to Florida and dumped the remains under a bridge.
Drove his body from Colorado to Florida in a suitcase. Evil, evil bitch.
And this kid, so cute. He seemed like such a sweet kid from everything that his family has said about him. He loved Sonic. He's 11 years old. Oh my God, it just breaks my heart thinking about it. It was one of the most upsetting cases I've ever heard of. It's one of those cases where people will make multiple videos of it. Any little thing that comes out, anytime there's a trial, like, people will do multiple videos on it. And so zavgirl is one of those people. She's done a lot of coverage on Letitia Stoke and Gannon and his case. Anyway, she posted videos and pictures that she requested to her Patreon of his autopsy photos. Now, I have never seen these photos. I never want to.
No.
I have heard there's been a lot of talk about him being naked in these photos, which would make sense since it's a fucking autopsy. Which then it's, you get into, is that redistributing in a way.
Yeah.
So there's a whole conversation happening right now about that. We haven't been able to confirm if there were exposed pictures of him, but he was, dead in brutal condition. So she posted these to her Patreon account. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it's like a membership type thing, a paywall, so you can pay for additional content. So her followers could pay $3 to watch these videos to become a member of her Patreon. She put, again, autopsy photos of a brutally murdered child behind a paywall. I have never heard of something so sick coming out of the true crime community. You can actually see the photos here if you want to see. It doesn't have the actual photos, but
just says unlock
to become a patron. Gannon's autopsy video. Gannon's autopsy. Gannon's autopsy video. Gannon's autopsy. Gannon Stoke autopsy photos and video. God, I'm shaking. I'm so pissed off. What brings someone to do something like that and not see anything wrong with it?
The way that she got them was she submitted a request,
a Freedom of Information Act request,
for the pictures, and then paid for them herself, and then charge people to go look at them, which that's a whole other thing. And that there's actually a great interview from News Nation we'll watch about the conversation of random civilians being able to access this type of stuff.
It's unbelievable that you can actually pay to get things like that. It should be illegal in all states. And in some states it is illegal.
Yeah.
Not here in Colorado, apparently.
No.
Because that's where she got them from. There was some talk over maybe she got them from Florida.
Because in Florida there was a bill passed. And again, we'll watch a clip that explains more of it. But yeah, she did it in Colorado.
So this this really, obviously people started saying, dude, what the fuck, a while back. But now Gannon's family has been very hurt by this, obviously. I can't imagine why anyone other than people who need to see these photos for the case, because it's their job, would want to see these just for what, fun? Because they're creepy and curious.
Yeah, I don't get why you would pay for that. That's a whole other thing to think about. Like, yeah, she put them on there, but who the fuck's paying for that?
I know.
Why would you ever want to see that?
People that are buying it, like she has members.
Why would you want to see that ever? And you really even, I don't know.
Oh my God, it is so sick. His family's been pissed off. And here's his dad.
Just finished the trial just over 2 months ago, Brian. And now we're having to kind of relive some of this stuff and not being able to put it behind us.
Yeah, and I think for me, like what really pushed it over the edge was the charging the money. I mean, obviously posting it alone would be disgusting, but then charging money to see those photos, it's really, really just awful.
The word I use to describe it is evil, Brian. In my opinion, it's just evil. Like, the world got enough information from the trial to have every discussion they want to have. Why do we need to go have a freedom of information request and pay for this kind of information and then dishonor my son by putting these photos out there like that? I mean, the world got to see it. I don't know how well you followed it, but the only day I chose not to come to the trial was the day that they showed the autopsy photos. Now I feel like I can't even go on YouTube without the possibility of accidentally coming across these photos.
So many people who make true crime content and consume it, I don't think see these cases as real people. They don't understand, or they think it's like some storybook or a movie. And I think one of the most valuable things that we have done is spending time with these families. I know the first family I spent time with, Sarah Turney, I spent time with her in person. And then being with the Andriacchios in person changed it all for me. Like, being in their home, being with their entire family for days, gave me an understanding of how when the camera stops rolling, podcasts stop recording, these families feel this pain every single day. They carry this trauma every single day of their lives, and it is horrific. It alters their life in a way that you could never imagine unless you have been in their shoes. And I think every single person in true crime should at least try to get the opportunity to converse with someone who is a victim of crime, because it will change your perspective on everything. Speaking of the Andriacchios, they also experienced something kind of like this. They had someone FOIA the case file, and then they put it on Facebook, this random person, and his autopsy photos were out there and everything. And the effect that had on that family, hearing his mom talk about that and the way she cried, the pain in her voice, these people out there that view this as just some sick entertainment, they are so messed up that it makes me really angry. It's hard for me to even get words together.
Well, it also is extremely upsetting because there are people watching that clip that don't watch true crime YouTubers, and they think like, oh my God, these fucking YouTubers are just trying to like exploit it and make money off of it. And yes, that's the case to some people, like this zavgirl, but like I would say a majority of you guys who do this actually have a lot of respect and are trying to do good, whether it's raising money or raising awareness or getting people to sign things. Or
the viewers too, you mean? Right?
Yes, and the viewers. Yeah. And I think it's so unfair that like not only does this paint a bad picture for the creators, but also just people who consume, when the majority of people want to help. The majority of people who are watching your videos are there to educate themselves, to see how they can help. To become
Take
more
an action,
aware,
make a donation, share something. Awareness is so huge for these families, for so many of them. And it's angering to hear how some people take that need and just exploit it for themselves. To that level is horrific. And I actually have some feelings about people who put any true crime content behind a paywall, even if that's bonus content, because I feel that putting someone's story, someone's case, and making people pay for it to get that information is really unethical and wrong. I mean, if you're going to have a membership or a Patreon, I think ad-free content or things that aren't related to someone's case, but any exclusives about someone's story that is not yours, I don't think you have the right to go and charge people a fee to access more of it or to hear someone's story. There have been times where I wanted to listen to a podcast on a case and I can't because it's behind a paywall and it's someone who needs justice, who needs awareness. And so I think there's a big conversation around paywalls and true crime to be had as well.